Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Although the 3-year printing process can present a confusing experience for inexperienced collectors, the impressive images found in 1934 to 36 Diamond Stars offer a very intriguing vintage set. Lefty Grove is the top draw among the 108 card release, but the full set features cards for over 30 Hall of Fame players. Diamond Stars was one of 2 baseball card sets issued concurrently over a 3-year period by the National Chicle Company of Cambridge, Massachusetts. The other being 1934 to 36 Batter Up. Due to the way the cards were released during those 3 seasons, it can be viewed as one set or 3 different releases that are unified by numbers. The official designation for the full set is R327. The most notable thing about Diamond Stars is the Art Deco style image, complete with vivid backgrounds that are usually ballpark or playing field scenes. It's a notable contrast from the solid colors and generic backgrounds used on Gaudi cards. The only other feature found on the card front is the player's name and a white border. Diamond Stars backs pack a lot of info into the 2 3/8 by 2 7/8 inches cards. Following the player's name and a card number, write-ups feature either a player biography or baseball tip, which were all credited to newspaper editor Austin Lake. Also, an ad appears on the back stating that 240 cards were planned. However, there ended up being 108 numbered cards, with some cards reprinted later in the run featuring the same images, but different card numbers. Make no mistake, Diamond Stars can be confusing. As the cards came out each year, the front designs remained the same, but the backs were updated. Because of these updates and multiple printings for some cards, many subjects have variations in text and ink color. Since many of the Diamond Stars cards were printed each year, retired players or those that had been sent down to the minors were not produced again. The best way to tell the difference among the cards is based on a combination of the year referenced in the stat line, the copyright date shown on the card, and the ink color used. Although the copyright date seems like it would be the easiest route, there's a fair amount of inconsistency regarding the actual dates listed on the cards. The original Diamond Stars issue included cards 1 through 24, Series 1, featuring green ink on the backs. In 1935, all Series 1 cards were reissued and Series 2, 25 to 84, was released. Each card from 1935, 1 through 84, is found with green ink on the back, and cards 73 to 84 can also be found with blue ink. Finally, in 1936, Series 3, 85 to 108, was released. Also, 12 cards from 1 through 31 and all cards from 73 to 84 were reprinted. All 1936 cards feature backs with blue ink. The high number cards, 97 through 108, are much more scarce in comparison to the rest of the set and include players who had already been featured on cards earlier in the set. A few errors and variations can be found in Diamond Stars. Hank Greenberg and Early Lombardi both had misspelled names early on that were corrected in subsequent printings. The error cards carry a premium. Several subjects, including Al Simmons, Leroy Mahaffey, Heine Manouche, and Johnny Babich, also had logos or team names removed from their jersey in later printings. Kai Kyler is available as a member of the Reds or Cubs because of a trade. The difference is minimal, but the Reds card carries slightly more value. A few other players have similar team updates. While most collectors are content to collect the 108 card Diamond Stars base set, the most challenging chase for collectors is to obtain all 170 possible front-back card combinations. In this video, I'm going to show the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1934 to 36 Diamond Stars set based on their PSA 3 values. I'll also give the values of those cards in higher grades, as well as the population count of those grades. Now, as a side note, because some cards have very low population counts, The values in some grades might not reflect current prices since it may be a year or two or even more since a copy in that grade has been sold. In those cases, the prices shown for the card is from the most recent sale in VCP's database. Now, before I get to the top 10, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, the Paul Wayner Series 2 card. At number 14, the Bill Dickey Series 1 card. At number 13, the Schoolboy Row Series 3 card. At number 12, the Mickey Cochran card. And at number 11, the Robert Rolfe Series 3 card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. Coming in at number 10, we have the Ernie Lombardi corrected first name version. In the PSA 3, there have been 17 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $313. There have been 18 graded A PSA 4, the last sale at $218. There have been 23 graded A PSA 5, with the last sale at $456. There have been 17 graded A PSA 6, the last one selling for $431. There have been 16 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $950. There have been 12 graded A PSA 8, the last one selling for $2,073. And there have been 3 graded A PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in July of 2013 through Goodwin Auction and sold for $8,495. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Ernie Lombardi corrected first name version. At number 9, we have the Ducky Medwick card. In a PSA 3, there have been 31 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $375. There have been 42 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $204. There have been 55 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $300. There have been 50 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $610. There have been 57 graded A PSA 7, the last sale was for $693. There have been 30 graded A PSA 8, the last one selling for $1,600. There have been 3 graded A PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database was in April of 2012 through a Greg Busino auction and selling for $4,620. There has been 1 graded A PSA 10, but there have been no reported PSA 10 sales of that Ducky Medwick card. At number 8, we have the Mel Ott card. In a PSA 3, there have been 42 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $383. There have been 73 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $353. There have been 68 graded A PSA 5, the last one sold for $585. There have been 81 graded A PSA 6, the last one selling for $532. There have been 65 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $848. There have been 47 graded A PSA 8, the last one sold for $1,813. There have been 12 graded A PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in May of 2022 through a heritage auction and sold for $5,160. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Mel Ott card. At number 7, we have the Rogers Hornsby card. In a PSA 3, there have been 91 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $419. There have been 129 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $402. There have been 124 graded A PSA 5, The last one selling for $526. There have been 116 graded A PSA 6. The last one sold for $743. There have been 73 graded A PSA 7. The last one sold for $810. There have been 61 graded A PSA 8. The last one selling for $1,907. There have been 6 graded A PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place in May of 2022 through a heritage auction and sold for $8,400. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Rogers Hornsby card. At number 6, we have the Bill Dickey Series 3 version card. In a PSA 3, there have been 17 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $480. There have been 28 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $779. There have been 19 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $650. There have been 19 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $2,000. There have been 17 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $1,380. There have been 8 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in May of 2022 through that heritage auction and sold for $7,800, placing the Bill Dickey Series 3 version at the number 2 spot in this top 10 list in terms of PSA 8 graded copies. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Series 3 Bill Dickey card. At number 5, we have the Pie Trainer Series 3 version card. In a PSA 3, there have been 13 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $509. There have been 16 graded A PSA 4 with the last sale at $1,313. There have been 14 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $960. There have been 15 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $1,247. There have been 12 graded A PSA 7, the last one sold for $1,375. There have been 13 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in that May 2022 heritage auction and sold for $2,400. There has been 1 graded A PSA 9, but there have been no reported PSA 9 sales in VCP's database. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Series 3 Pie Trainer card. At number 4, we have the Jimmy Fox card. In a PSA 3, there have been 65 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $559. There have been 77 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $930. There have been 71 graded A PSA 5, the last one sold for $720. There have been 90 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $1,835. There have been 44 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $1,925. There have been 49 graded A PSA 8, the last one selling for $2,770, placing the Jimmy Fox at the number 5 spot in terms of PSA 8 graded copies on this top 10 list. There have been 5 graded A PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place at that May 2022 heritage auction and sold for $13,200. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Jimmy Fox card. At number 3, we have the Hank Greenberg corrected last name version. In a PSA 3, there have been 40 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $910. There have been 74 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $1,022. There have been 53 graded A PSA 5, the last one sold for $1,753. There have been 49 graded A PSA 6, The last one sold for $2,188. There have been 40 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $2,839. There have been 44 graded A PSA 8, the last one selling for $4,852, placing the corrected last name Hank Greenberg card at the number 4 spot in terms of PSA 8 graded copies on this list. And there has been 13 PSA 9 graded copies, the last one selling at that May 2022 Heritage Auction for $13,200. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the corrected last name Hank Greenberg card. At number 2, we have the Lefty Grove card. In a PSA 3, there have been 68 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $947. There have been 62 graded A PSA 4, the last one sold for $1,188. There have been 45 graded A PSA 5, the last one sold for $2,070. There have been 20 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $4,080. There have been 16 graded A PSA 7, the last one sold for $15,062. There have been 10 graded A PSA 8, the last PSA 8 sale took place in July of 2021 through eBay and sold for $18,562, placing the Lefty Grove at the number 1 spot in terms of PSA 8 graded copies on this top 10 list. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Lefty Grove card. And at number 1, we have the misspelled last name Hank Greenberg card. In a PSA 3, there have been 10 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $1,260. There have been 18 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $2,021. There have been 13 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $3,840. There have only been 6 graded A PSA 6, the last one sold for $3,213. There have only been 8 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $2,716. There have only been 7 graded A PSA 8, the last PSA 8 sale took place in April of 2021 through REA auction and sold for $5,160, placing the misspelled last name Hank Greenberg card at the number 3 spot in terms of PSA 8 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the misspelled last name Hank Greenberg card. Well, there you go, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1934 to 36 Diamond Stars set. As always, would love to know in the comments what you think about the set in general and the cards that made the top 10 list. And stay tuned for next week's episode, in which I take a look at the 1934 to 36 Batter Up set. And if you've missed either of the last 2 videos in this series, you can check them out right here. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.